make some key upgrades to the vehicle. So in a second here, we'll get an image of the inside of Dragon. All right, so some of the easiest to spot differences between Crew Dragon and Cargo Dragon. First, notice these white composite panels. Those are there to close out the crew's habitable cabin space from the spacecraft's primary structure, as well as the components behind those panels that the crew does not need to access. Another very noticeable interior change is that we've added carbon fiber seats, which are custom sized for each crew member. Crew Dragon can fit up to 7 astronauts, but our first crewed flight will have 2 astronauts, followed by operational missions which will carry 4, each of them wearing a SpaceX designed spacesuit. And as you can also see in the video, there's also a touchscreen control panel. While Dragon is fully autonomous, we have added this for redundancy so that the crew can navigate the spacecraft manually in the event of an emergency.
And those NASA astronauts have been working with SpaceX from early on to provide input into Crew Dragon's design. Right now they're finishing their training on all of the features of the spacecraft and the spacesuit, using simulators and other exercises in advance of that first crewed mission. And just like the seats, the spacesuit is individually fitted for each astronaut. It's designed to completely protect them from the vacuum environment of space. While the spacecraft obviously is the primary means of protecting those astronauts, the suit can act as a critical backup in the case of an emergency. And one final interesting point of distinction for Crew Dragon is once again we have windows on the spacecraft, so the crew can look out into space during the flight, providing not only cool views, but also helping them to view the station and orient Dragon during manual piloting.
Now let's not forget about Falcon 9. The design of our rocket is just as critical to the Demo-1 mission as is the spacecraft. We have been launching Falcon 9 since 2010 to carry Cargo Dragon, as well as customer satellites inside of our fairing. But the rocket was built from the very beginning with the ultimate goal of carrying people in mind. Its simple 2-stage configuration minimizes separation events, and with 9 first-stage Merlin engines, Falcon 9 can successfully complete its mission even in the event of an engine shutdown. Both F9 and Dragon are designed to be reusable, and SpaceX has reflown 6 Dragons and 19 first-stage boosters to date. And as mentioned, following today's launch, we will attempt to land the Falcon 9 back on our drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean so that it can be used on a future flight.
And SpaceX also intends to reuse this Dragon. Its mission's already set to be the in-flight abort test taking place later this year ahead of Demo 2. Now, though, since we're under 9 minutes, let's check back in with Tom on the status of today's launch.
Thanks, guys. We are at 8 minutes and 30 seconds until launch. The excitement here at SpaceX headquarters is palpable. Just a quick update on the status of the rocket and the Dragon. The Stage 1 and Stage 2 are almost fully fueled with both RP-1 and oxidizer. The range is good to go. We are monitoring the weather's all looking good to go for launch. No issues with upper level winds or ground level winds or any lightning. The weather's actually looking really good at the Cape. As John Ensperker always says, the weather is the one thing that everyone talks about, but the one thing that we can't control. Thankfully, it's looking good for launch today. We're continuing to monitor, but we are going to go over to Kennedy Space Center and see how the space station team is doing with Gary Jordan. How's it going over there, Gary?
Hey Tom, welcome to Mission Control Houston. Right here, the teams behind me are looking after the systems of the International Space Station, which is, of course, the ultimate destination of Dragon launching today. Over the next day, we'll be monitoring Dragon through its approach to the International Space Station, and that's when things will really start to pick up when it's just a few kilometers away. 3 crew members on board the International Space Station right now: NASA's Anne McClain, David St. Jacques of the Canadian Space Agency, and Oleg Kononenko of Roscosmos. Really, over the past week, they've been reviewing a lot of procedures for the docking operations and the ingress operations. That's when they actually enter the vehicle. Today, they don't really have much going on, a bit of an off-duty day, because tomorrow that's when they execute all of these procedures, just over a day from now, when Dragon docks to the International Space Station, scheduled at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. This is a great time, a blast from the past. The last time that a vehicle docked to this part of the station was the Space Shuttle back in 2011. Again, our job really picks up when Dragon is just a few kilometers away from now. Everything's looking good on the station. Station now 255 statute miles over Central Europe. At the time of launch, station is scheduled to be over Central Iraq. That's how fast this thing is traveling. Dragon's going to spend some time chasing it down. But this is an exciting time. We have new vehicles coming online to launch humans to the International Space Station. Of course, more humans means more science, which is the one of the goals of the International Space Station, to do scientific research and learn how to explore further on. We're working with commercial providers as well, not just SpaceX. SpaceX also providing cargo to the space station, but we're also working with international partners. But from here in Mission Control Houston, we're going to sit back. We actually have a view of the pad here on the front screen of Mission Control. Tom, we'll take it back to you to take us through the final moments before launch.
Thanks, Gary. We are just moments away from our launch of the first crew demonstration mission to the International Space Station. The Falcon 9 engine chill is underway right now. That gets those turbopumps cold enough to pump the liquid oxygen and RP-1 fuel to the 9 Merlin 1D engines at the bottom of the rocket. Strong back retract will start at about T-minus 5 minutes. That's just 30 seconds from now. And the crew access arm is already in the launch position. Around T-minus 1 minutes, that's when you'll hear the call out Falcon 9 is in startup. That means that the Falcon 9 flight computers have gone into startup mode and they are now autonomously controlling the rest of the countdown. At about T-minus 2 seconds, we will ignite the flight computer will ignite the engines, and we will check the power on those engines for a liftoff at T-minus 0 when the hold down's release. Just a reminder that this is an instantaneous launch window tonight. If we have a hold for any reason, we will have to scrub for tonight, but we do have a backup window at March 5th at 1:38 a.m. Eastern Time. The Dragon team has given us the thumbs up for this, that the spacecraft is ready to go. The range is also green, and we're looking good. Like I said earlier, the weather is looking fantastic at the Cape for both launch and recovery. With just about 4 minutes and 30 seconds left before liftoff, let's listen into the final countdown on the launch nets.
And starback retract is starting.
RP-1 bleed.
Stage 2 cradle arms are open.
AFTS final setup started. And back igniter purges. Stage 1 LOX load has closed out.
Strong back that retract angle of 88.3 degrees.
Pogo bleed verification, stage 1.
Dragon chill water closeout.
Stage 2 LOX load closing out.
Ground gas closeout is starting.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Ground gas closeout is complete.
Go for launch. Stage 2 is pressing for flight. T-minus 30 seconds. Stage 1, pressing for flight. T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition, liftoff.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 throttle bucket.
Power and telemetry nominal. For those of you just joining us, you are watching a live view of the Falcon 9 rocket as it ascends through the atmosphere carrying the SpaceX Dragon 2 capsule to
Vehicle
orbit.
is supersonic.
The vehicle just passed through max Q, which is the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. As you can hear in the background, the excitement at SpaceX headquarters is unbelievable here.
Stage 1 throttle
Vehicle
up.
is passing through max Q.
You heard that call out from max Q on the nets. The Falcon 9 actually throttles down its 9 Merlin engines to reduce aerodynamic loads on the vehicle. It is now throttling those engines back up. Coming up at T plus 2 minutes and 35 seconds is going to be
And back
three
in
events in
until-
quick succession. The first one is going to be the main engine cutoff, or MECO. That's when the 9 Merlin 1D engines that you can see on your screen right now will cut off shortly before a stage separation at 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Shortly after that, the Merlin vacuum engine on the bottom of the second stage of the Falcon 9 will ignite in what we call second engine start, or SES. That'll be at 2 minutes and 46 seconds. So stand by for main engine cutoff, stage separation, and second engine start coming up in just about 20 seconds from now. As you can hear from the cheering here at SpaceX headquarters, we did have a successful main engine cutoff, a stage separation, and as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, that second stage engine is currently started and accelerating Dragon towards orbit. On the left-hand side of your screen, that is a view from the first stage as it makes its way back down towards the Earth. Let's go down to Lauren and Dan for updates on that first stage recovery.
All right, so as you can just see, we lifted off. We had an awesome liftoff of stage 1, and stage 2 is burning beautifully. Stage 1 also has a secondary mission that it is performing right now, which is getting ready to come back to the drone ship and land. So stage 1 is going to execute 2 burns before landing on the drone ship. The first is the entry burn start, which is starting at T plus 7 minutes and 48 seconds approximately. That's where 3 of the M1D engines will reignite. And what that burn does is it slows down stage 1 as it re-enters the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere. If we didn't do that, that aerodynamic re-entry heating, the aero heating would heat up stage 1 and it would potentially break it apart. So we got to slow it down. From there, stage 1 is going to coast its way back down using those grid fins to help steer it, and then it'll execute the landing burn. That's going to happen at T plus 9 minutes and 24 seconds. That's where we're going to reignite that center E9 engine to hopefully bring stage 1 down to a beautiful stop right on the drone ship.
That's right, and while all that's happening, the second stage, which you can see glowing bright here, continuing to power Dragon, it's going to continue burning until just about 9 minutes after launch. So at 8 minutes and 59 seconds is where it's targeted to cut off. Down to a single engine, but that one providing a little over 200,000 pounds of thrust to carry Dragon through the upper parts of Earth's atmosphere. Not as much resistance to fight against once you're up this high. And it's going to get Dragon into that initial orbit, and it's still going to be a couple hundred kilometers beneath the station, and then it'll be turned over to thrusters on Dragon once it separates from that second stage to then begin the chase down of the orbiting laboratory. But 5 minutes, 11 seconds and counting past launch. All the calls so far indicating nominal performance. So we're continuing to see great stuff so far from both stages of Falcon 9.
Okay, we're hearing that MVAC is performing nominally. It's looking good on power. Temperatures are good. And stage 1 continues to come back nominally. And look over there on the left on your screen, you see that picture of Ripley and that 0G indicator.
That's right. Keep an eye out as long as we have the view. As soon as Dragon's separated and it's essentially then in its free flight mode, you're going to see that little planet Earth start to float up. So keep an eye out once we separate Dragon in just a couple of minutes from now. 6 minutes past launch.
Trajectory continues to be nominal on stage 2. Still have about 2.5 more minutes left of this burn, at which point MVAC will shut down. We're just under a minute away from that entry burn on stage 1 that I mentioned before. Second stage burn continues to burn nominally.
Right, we're over 7 minutes since that liftoff. Feels like it was 30 seconds ago. Continuing to carry Dragon up. It's going to make it to that initial orbit after it separates. The separation coming about a minute after that second stage cutoff.
Stage 2 propellant tank pressures are looking good. The burn continues to be healthy. Now coming up in about 10 seconds, that entry burn is going to start. Hopefully we'll have onboard video and you'll be able to watch. Let's listen in on the callouts.
Stage 1, FTS is safe.
Stage 1, entry burn has started.
Look at that plane. So 3 M1D engines reigniting. Burn is going to continue on for about another 18 or so seconds.
Yeah, so a little back-to-back action now as we see stage 1 coming back down towards Earth, stage 2 still making its way up into outer space. The Dragon still nestled on top, getting ready.
Stage 1, entry burn, shutdown.
There's the end of that stage 1
Stage
shutdown.
2 is under terminal 1.
Okay, so stage 1 is going to continue to coast its way down using those grid fins for attitude control and steering.
Next
And in just
milestone,
under a
Seco.
minute.
Steership, AOS.
Ah, that's right. It's coming up in about 10 seconds. Invex throttling now for Seco.
Stage 1 is
And we have
transonic.
had a successful shutdown. Vimvac. All right. Stage 1 landing burn is supposed to start. At the start of that burn, stage 1 will be traveling at 275 meters per second. That single engine burn is going to bring that from 275 to 0.
We did just hear that stage 1 landing burn has started.
All right, let's see if we get it. And the Falcon has landed on the autonomous spaceport drone ship. We got video the whole way.
Stage 1 down.
Now, stage 1 is on that drone ship about 500 kilometers away from where it launched from. The vehicle will now undergo its safing procedures, and the recovery team will make sure it's strapped down and it'll make its way back to Earth. Or, sorry, back to Cape Canaveral. It's already on it. So there's still a lot more to go here. We have Dragon separation coming up. Let's go back to Tom Perderio to cover that next big milestone.
Wow, what a landing. Coming up very shortly in just about 20 seconds here. The Dragon spacecraft is going to be separating from the top of the Falcon 9 rocket. Separation should be occurring around 11 minutes and 5 seconds. Just about now. Let's wait for confirmation.
Dragon, separation confirmed.
And there it is. You're looking at a view from the top of the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket. And hard to make out in the shadow of the Earth, but that is the Dragon 2 spacecraft flying in space for the first time after a successful separation. This is a great day for everyone here at SpaceX and NASA. Let's go back over to Gary Johnson and see how they're handling it over there. It's kind of crazy over here. How is it over there, Gary?
Thanks, Tom. We were definitely enjoying hearing some of the cheers from over you guys. You can actually kind of see behind us. We got quite a number of viewers here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Very exciting time that we have now that they're waving. So this is, for us here in Mission Control Houston, this is just the beginning. Now that Dragon is in orbit, we have just over a day until Dragon's scheduled to be docked to the International Space Station. There's a lot of milestones to get through. The crew have been, again, reviewing their procedures, getting ready for some of those moments, again, monitoring the approach and even performing some commands while the Dragon is close enough. But again, there's a lot of work to do. We have docking scheduled for 6 a.m. tomorrow. We'll continue to monitor Dragon during that time. In the meantime, we'll toss to Lauren and Dan to witness some of these final milestones of Dragon now that it is in orbit. Back to you.
Thank you, Gary. Now for a typical CRS mission, right about now, we'll be awaiting solar array deployment. But as a reminder, Crew Dragon has solar array body mounted along the surface of the trunk. They're already activated. They're producing power. Draco engines are firing. Dragon is doing awesome.
That's right, and as Tom just mentioned, the nose cone is going to be opening, and that's going to expose those guidance and navigation control sensors and the docking mechanism. And then pretty soon, Dragon's going to execute that series of burns to gradually raise its orbit up to align more closely with the International Space Station.
Quick mission overview recap. We had a successful launch of Stage 1 and Dragon, of course. We landed Stage 1 on the drone ship, had video the whole way down. You got to check that out. Dragon has separated, it's activated, and it's now on its mission. So on behalf of SpaceX and NASA, thank you for watching today's broadcast. Thank you for your interest in the mission, and a big thank you to the Eastern Range for helping make today's launch possible.
And Crew Dragon's mission obviously far from over. It's going to spend the next day or so on its way to the space station. It's going to arrive and dock just before 6 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, and it's going to spend 5 days attached. To get there, it's going to begin that series of phasing burns to raise its orbit just beneath the space station, at which point we begin that slow and steady approach to docking.
We will be broadcasting Dragon's arrival and docking live on SpaceX.com and NASA TV. Our coverage will begin at 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time, so be sure to follow SpaceX and NASA on social media for real-time updates. Thank you again for watching, and hopefully you'll join us for docking.